When we think about predicting our health, our minds usually jump to complicated medical tests, maybe some high-tech wearables. But what if I told you that one of the absolute best predictors of your long-term health and even your mortality risk is probably sitting in your living room right now? We're about to break down a test that is so simple, so straightforward, and yet it's backed by some serious science. And the best part? You can literally do it right now. Just let that sink in for a minute. An object you use every single day, a piece of furniture, could hold some of the most important clues to your future. So, what on earth could it be? Yep, it's a chair. As simple as that. How quickly and, how easily you can stand up from it turns out to be a really powerful signpost for your underlying strength, your balance, and your mobility, all of which are absolutely critical for healthy aging. Now, this isn't just about, casually getting up to grab a snack. There's an actual standardized test that researchers and doctors use, and it's something we can all learn a ton from. It's officially called the 5-repetition chair stand test. And, well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You stand up and sit down 5 times, and you time it. That one simple action gives you this incredible snapshot of your body's functional fitness. Okay, so here's the play-by-play on how to do it right. First, sit down with your feet flat on the floor. Then, and this is key, fold your arms across your chest. No pushing off with your hands, that's cheating. Then you just stand up all the way and sit back down. Do that 5 times, as fast as you safely can. The number you're looking for is the total time in seconds. So I know this seems almost ridiculously basic, right? But from a biomechanical standpoint, it's a really complex move. And it tells us a whole lot about how your body is actually working. What's wild is just how many major muscles have to fire in the right sequence to make this happen. You're not just using your legs, you're lighting up your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, even muscles in your core and your lower legs. It's like a full body coordination event. Now, researchers have broken this down into 2 main phases. Phase 1 is the prep work. You lean forward, you build up that momentum. But phase 2, that's where the magic happens. It's the lift-off. It's that explosive moment where you use a burst of power from your legs and core to get off the chair. That right there is the make or break moment of the whole test. Okay, so we know what the test is, and we know how it works. But why does the time it takes matter so much? Well, this is where the data gets really, really powerful. So let's start with a baseline. In this huge study, we're talking over 18,000 adults across 28 countries. The median time to do this test was 11 seconds. So just kind of keep that number in your head as we go forward. And the difference a few seconds makes, it is staggering. Compared to that 11-second average, people who clocked in at just 7 seconds had an almost 30% lower risk of dying from any cause. But on the flip side, taking 19 seconds was linked to a 20% higher risk. That is a massive swing based on just a few seconds of effort. And it's not just about a single score. The research shows that how your time changes year over year is also a big deal. If your time increases by just 1 second per year, that's seen as a clinically meaningful decline, and it's tied to a much higher risk of future disability. So you see, tiny changes over time can have a really big impact down the road. So let's bring this home. What could these numbers actually mean for you? If you were to try this at home, how would you even begin to interpret your score? Well, this chart gives us some great context. It shows the average times for healthy adults in different age brackets. And yeah, you can see the times get a little bit longer as we get older, but it's a pretty gradual change. This gives you a really good ballpark idea of where you might stack up against your peers. Doctors also use some specific cutoff times as potential red flags. For instance, a score over 12 seconds might make them think about assessing for fall risk. More than 13 seconds could point to some issues with balance. Now, these aren't diagnoses, of course, but they're important warning signs that this super simple test can bring to light. And to really drive the point home, here's a direct quote from that huge international study. Gradually and inversely associated. That's just a fancy scientific way of saying the faster you are, the lower your risk is. And the slower you are, the higher your risk. It's a crystal clear connection between this basic physical task and our biggest health outcomes. So the ability to get up from a chair, it's way more than just a convenience, right? It's a fundamental measure of the strength and the power that keeps us moving, keeps us independent, and keeps us healthy. It's a snapshot in time. So the real question isn't just about what that picture looks like for you today, but what can you do, maybe even by practicing this exact movement, to make sure that that picture just keeps getting better and better.